everybody. Happy 420. Welcome back to Midas Letter Live. My guest for this next segment is Tony Holler. He is the CEO of Sunniva. Tony, welcome to the show and happy 420.
Thank you. Happy 420.
Tony, there's been some great developments in the U.S. market where you have some great ambitions. Why don't you walk us through what has happened to make the cannabis universe more attractive for United States-based companies?
Well, as you and your listeners know, one of the things that we've done is focus actually on the California market. But there was always a risk that the federal government in the U.S. could step in and potentially seize assets, charge me with a crime, even though we're following all the rules in California. So that was always a risk. Now, granted, I think it was remote, and I think we all believe it was remote, but it was there. With the Trump regime actually, basically saying we're going to let the states regulate both medical and adult use cannabis, that takes a big sort of weight off our shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's great. So in the immediate term, what does that mean for Sunniva in particular?
Well, our goal in California is to be a leader in the cannabis industry in California. We're in the midst of a huge build. We're building a 500,000 square foot facility, which is a ultra sophisticated greenhouse facility and manufacturing facility. And so obviously that gives us great confidence. Really, the next step forward for us, though, is starting to really execute on our business plan, which is to work with some of the big brands in California and be a provider of products and services, whether it's dry flowers, pre-rolls, oils, all those things. Our goal is to be a provider of all those things while we build the Sunniva brand in California.
Right. Well, that's great. So you recently raised, at the end of March, you announced the closing of a $27.8 million bought deal offering. Now, what is that going to do to advance your progress in the near term?
Specifically in California, you know that our facility is financed by a large property developer out of Los Angeles, Barker Pacific Group. Now, we do have costs, especially as we go to opening the facility and production. So, we probably have somewhere between $5 and $10 million of costs that we have to bear before we actually start getting revenues.
Okay.
Hey, terrific. I have a question as well. I'd like your thoughts on whether Trump's decision, or not so much a decision, but his attitudes towards cannabis and him going contrary to Jeff Sessions, is that enough for a lot of the big players in the industry, such as yourself, to make further moves in the U.S., or do you actually need cannabis to be descheduled as a Schedule I drug, and or taken off the federal laws, taken off the books as being an actual illegal under the federal books? Is it enough for what Trump did? Is it enough to move initiatives forward, or do you still need further clarity with drug laws?
For us, it's enough to move the initiatives forward. And I don't know if you saw, but the U.S. Congress is looking at some laws to even further clarify this, which of course is very, very encouraging. But you're going to see us now make some moves because, again, there is a lot of opportunity in California. One of the things I would say is, assets in Canada are very, very highly valued. And it's hard not to overpay for assets in Canada right now. In California, it's more like regular business in terms of valuation. So you're going to see us move now.
Okay, so from where you sit, Tony, does the change in the weather, so to speak, in the United States make the United States a more attractive value proposition for Canadian investors than does Canada? And secondly, are you going to focus more on the States now as opposed to Canada as a result of this progress on the part of the federal government?
Well, I think you probably know that the U.S. assets were being devalued prior to this, but I think they're going to be revalued because of Trump's decision. So our focus, obviously, California is the largest marketplace in the world. And so our focus is on California. But as you know, the second largest marketplace in the world is Canada. And we are just going to, we're hoping by next week, we're going to break ground on our Canadian facilities in the Okanagan Valley.
Great. Okay, so so you're basically firing on all cylinders in both the Canada and the U.S. then.
Absolutely, they're attractive marketplaces. You know, obviously, regulation is really important. We've chosen 2 jurisdictions where there was medical cannabis, and now we're getting to where adult use is being regulated. So that's obviously very encouraging for us. So, you know, the fact that you have a large market, that it's a regulated market, that we understand the rules, I mean, that we have to have that sort of situation in place.
Hi, Tony, Ben here. I have another question for you. It's my understanding that the California market is very fragmented at the moment. There's a lot of players, there's not really a dominant player per se. It's very fragmented depending on county, depending on jurisdiction within the state. Now, because of this, do you see, and Trump's decision, of course, do you see an opportunity for Sunniva to really, purchase a couple assets with the bought deal financing or other metrics and really take hold of the situation in California and become a dominant player? Do you see that opportunity, or is it, how is that going to work out for you?
That's exactly our strategy. We see this as an opportunity for us to really be a dominant player in that marketplace. Currently, as you know, it's kind of a, everything is small. You know that 85% of the product is contaminated. There's so much opportunity for an operator to come in there and basically be a world-class company producing clean, high-grade product at reasonable cost. So, I think this is our opportunity, and we are aggressively looking at some assets in California at the present time.
Okay, Tony, that's a great update. We're going to leave it there for now. Happy 420 to you. We'll look forward to talking to you again in the near future.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the call, and happy 420 to everyone.
Viewers, stay tuned. You can catch this interview if you missed the live segment. You can catch it on our YouTube or our Facebook channel under Midas Letter. Coming up today, we're going to have either Bruce Linton or Mark Zakulin, who's the president of Canopy Growth, to discuss their latest housing initiative. We're going to have Sebastian St. Louis here from Hydropothecary, and we're also going to have John Fowler from Supreme today. This is our live 420 coverage. Please tune in to Facebook or YouTube at Midas Letter.